Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. I'm here today to share with you, or to show you how to cover your chipboard for a mini album. I made the mini album for the 12 days of Christmas 2023. And then I realized that the old videos that I had to cover a mini album, they were a little dated and my camera system back then was super bad. So I'm just going to show you real quick how to cover a mini album. Well, in this case, it's actually going to be an advent calendar book, but it's the same concept. Alright, so my chipboard measures 5 3/4 by 11. And so I have 2 pieces of that. And then I have a 2-inch spine. Okay, so you are going to need your 12 by 12 paper for this one. And what you're going to do is you're going to take 2 sheets of 12 by 12 paper and you're going to put your score tape on it. I'm using 3/8 of an inch. You can use whatever you have. So typically you want to have an inch around the perimeter, but because my chipboard is 11 inches, I'm not going to have a full inch to wrap, but that's okay. It's not going to be a huge deal. Okay, so I'm just going to put this on one side. Now, what I'm going to do is take my paper trimmer or your scoreboard, and I'm going to score it at 1/2 inch on the top and bottom. So I have mine where my score tape is to the right. So 1/2 inch on the top, 1/2 inch on the bottom. Like I said, typically you would do 1 inch, but I don't have enough room, so. And then I'm going to do 1 inch on the side opposite of my tape. Okay. That's how I'm going to do mine. Now I'm going to take my other piece of 12 by 12 and I'm going to go ahead and score it at 1/2 inch on the top and bottom. I am going to cut some of it off, but I don't care if that score line is on my axis. So 1/2 inch on the top and 1/2 inch on the bottom. Okay. And this is just a guideline. You honestly don't have to do this, but I like to not have to think about where to line up my chipboard. And so I like to do the measuring, the scoring. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and I need to move some stuff. We're going to go ahead and attach our 2 pieces with that 3/8 of an inch score tape. And we're going to match up our score lines. Okay, varnish that. Okay. Now we have like this super long piece, which I don't even know if I can get. I can't get all of it in camera. So you have your super long piece. I just flipped it over so that way I can fold my paper. So this is the left hand side. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of varnish my score marks. I probably should have did it before I attached them, but it's fine. Okay. And I don't have any score mark on the right hand side because I'm going to cut some off. Yeah, that's as far as I can zoom out. So, alright, so we're going to go ahead and start training our paper. Okay. Alright, so now we're going to take our first piece of chipboard. And again, mine is 5 3/4 by 11 because that's the size that I need it to be. And I covered the back in tape. Some people use glue, some people use tape. I don't think that there's a right or wrong. I don't know. I have used glue before, But I prefer tape only because sometimes you can see glue lines when you're gluing your chipboard to your, or your cover paper to your chipboard. And I don't like to see glue lines, even though I'm probably going to cover it with something else. I just don't like to see glue lines. So I guess it's a personal preference. Alright. So I'm just going to take all of my tape off. And then make sure there's no overhang anywhere. And then I'm just going to line it up against this right side in my top and bottom score marks. That way I know it is perfectly straight. And there you go. Perfectly straight. Okay, now I'm going to take my 1/4 inch score tape. Or if you don't have 1/4 inch score tape, take a ruler and mark a 1/4 inch. Actually, let me do 1/4 inch should be fine. You can make your hinges bigger. I wouldn't go any smaller than 1/4 inch when you're doing an advent calendar book. Back in the day, for scrapbooks, we used to do 1/8 inch. So, yeah, I guess it's your preference, but I'm doing 1/4 inch. Now what I'm going to do is, I didn't tape that very well. So, I need my ruler to make sure it's straight. Okay. I covered the back of my chipboard with tape. Oops. Got a little ahead of myself there. Alright, so I need to remove the backing. Clearly I didn't varnish this very well. If you varnish your tape well, you can take the backing off anywhere and it just peels off. Alright, so making sure this is at the 1/4 inch line. Making sure it's straight and it's lined up. And it's not straight. But I'm not getting that score tape up, so it's going to be a little bit off on the bottom, but that's fine. It's like a 1/16 of an inch off, so no big deal. Okay, and so I'm going to go ahead and put that one down. Did a good job with that one. And then again, I have my taped up board here. And you're just going to take off all of your backing. If you are nervous with score tape, you can rub it with an Elmer's glue stick, just like a regular school, you know, little kids, kindergartner's glue stick. And it gives you extra time on your score tape. So it's not a one and done. Like you can wiggle it around. Not for too much longer, but maybe like 20 seconds or so. 30 seconds maybe. Oh my gosh. Where's my pokey tool? Alright, so you want to take your time with covering. Alright. And make sure. What is going on here? I can't pull my tape up. That's because it's the middle of the night and I'm tired, and I don't know why I do this to myself. I craft in the middle of the night knowing I'm going to get frustrated, but that's what I do. I guess because it's quiet in the middle of the night, you know, I don't have to worry about anyone talking and whatnot on the video, and then I don't have to worry about, you know, if somebody's playing a video game or something, you know, it's going to make my video take hours to upload. Anyway, alright, so lay that piece of chipboard down. Now you're going to measure about 1 inch from the right, or you can just eyeball it, it doesn't matter, and just cut that excess off. Sometimes I eyeball it, sometimes I measure. I typically measure at night when I'm tired, because if I try to eyeball it, I'm gonna do bad. So here's the other little tidbit. I don't care where the connection seam lands. Some people do care. I think back in the day I did care, and I always made sure that I moved all my paper over to make sure that that seam was like in the middle of the spine, blah, blah, blah. As I've been doing this, I realized it does not matter. So you're going to cover that up anyway. Just let it go where it goes. All right. This is where the 1 inch is so much nicer, but I didn't have the real estate. I wasn't going to put 4 pieces of paper together. No way. All right, so I'm going to take this is 1/4 inch. Actually, I could have did my 3/8 of an inch. I should do that because I'm running out of 1/4 inch. And you're going to put your tape all around the perimeter. So I just switched to my 3/8 of an inch tape. And this will fit. Now, what I normally do is put the tape around the perimeter and on the chipboard, but I guess I don't have to put it on the long sides because it's pretty well covered. So I'm going to put the tape on the chipboard as well. So this 1 inch is your typical measurement. So any other time I would have a full 1 inch around the perimeter. I know I already said that, but I'm going to say it again because I know I'm going to get that question like 4 times. Be like, why did you put it on this side of the chipboard but not the top and the bottom? The reason is this is fully covered. You know what? Just so I can avoid answering that question 500 times, let's go ahead and put it on the perimeter. Okay? There we go. No, I'm not trying to throw shade. I'm just telling you the questions that I get. Okay, here we go. Okay. So again, if you have a children's, well, it doesn't have to be children's, but if you have a glue stick, you can glue your score tape so that way you can have a little bit more time. Now, we do need to miter the corners. So because this is an awkward shape, I cannot do a traditional miter. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut this little square out. But I'm just making sure that I left some space between the corner of the chipboard and the corner of the square that I cut out, just because I want to make sure that my corner is wrapped. Now, if you have the 1 inch on both sides, then you're going to go ahead and just miter across the diagonal. Okay. Or you can do the box method. It doesn't matter. You guys have seen me miter the diagonal before. And that's just where you take where the 2 lines meet and you cut it diagonally. But in this case, we're not doing that because I have 1/2 inch and 1 inch. Did I not? Take your scoring tool and go all the way down. On that right hand side, I forgot to tell you that. Okay. Okay, and I'm just going to cut this little box out. I know you can't see what I'm doing. I'm just cutting the little rectangle out. All right. Now I'm just kind of training my paper so it knows what I want it to do. I'm just pushing, lightly scoring, pushing, lightly scoring. I don't want any cracking. All right, I'm going to go ahead and take off all of my score tape around my chipboard. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and take out my middle pieces because it's just easier to take it out now. But you can take it out whenever you feel comfortable. Probably should have taken them off before I put the perimeter tape on. But if you have a pokey tool, you can get up in there. Oops. Alright, so I glued my spine on my tape. So now I gotta peel it out from 2 different places, which is not a big deal, as you can see. If I wasn't doing a tutorial, this would have came right off. You guys know how that goes. Seriously. Okay. Alright, so now I'm going to take my wet glue and I'm going to put wet glue right here in this seam. Seriously, now my glue's clogged. The second I turned the camera off, that little piece of tape came right out. Half a second. Anyway, so take your glue, put a generous amount between your chipboard and your cardstock because you want to try to prevent cracking. I mean, if you crack, it's fine. I mean, we can fix it. Alright, so now you're going to pull kind of tight and smooth in as you're pulling. Okay, and pull. And there we go. Okay. Go ahead and make sure that is down. You have a smooth edge. Excuse me, that came out of nowhere. We went to a concert tonight for my niece, and I don't know why people think that spraying Victoria's Secrets or Bath & Body Works spray on yourself after you smoke, that you would smell good. P.S. You smell like smoke and cheap perfume. And yes, I am throwing shade to people who do that because it's nasty. You may think you smell great. Spoiler alert, you don't. You smell like an ashtray with cheap perfume. Sorry if that offends anybody, but somebody gotta tell you the truth. But I'm allergic to tobacco anyway, and it kills my allergies. Anyway, that was my rant. Alright, so I flipped it, I rotated it so that way I have the other long side at the bottom. I'm going to do the same thing. Generous squeeze here. And this one I'm going to start at this end because I kind of miscut my chipboard a little bit. And I can see where that side is breaking a little bit. Alright, so same thing, pulling in, up and over, and score tape it in, or burnish it in. I don't even know my words, because now I'm all angry again about the smoker. And I get very angry when people are smoking around little kids. You know, you're going to give them lung cancer and they can't even defend themselves. Yeah, they were smoking right in their faces. So anyway, all right, so this one I am going to go ahead and just kind of miter this corner a little bit, and I'm going to miter this other corner just a smidge. But I do see here where it is overhanging, so you're just going to push that little nubbin in just kind of push that in with your bone folder with your fingernail, whatever you prefer, on both sides. I know you can't see what I'm doing. I'm just pushing it in right on that corner. You're just going to push it in to cover it up. Okay? We're going to do the same thing. We're going to give a generous squeeze of wet glue. I don't care what wet glue you use here. You can use Elmer school glue for all intents and purposes. We're just trying to prevent cracking. I did not even train this side. It's okay. Okay, perfect edge. Okay, that's a little too generous with that glue. Okay, so it's in there. I don't want any wrinkles down here. No wrinkles. Okay, perfect. Now we're going to do this other side. We're going to do the same thing. You're going to have a little miter. You're going to push in. Okay. Squeeze it in on the other side as well. Push it in. This is why my nails always look raggedy, because I use my nails for everything that I'm doing with paper, and it wears them down. Then I break them, and you know, the whole nine. All right, generous squeeze glue in that the crack there, and then just some to fill in the gaps, because we already have our score tape there. And then here we go. The shorter sides for me are easier to train and put down, because I can do all of it, at one time, as opposed to the long sides where I have to do it in sections. Okay, there we go. Okay, so this next step is really preference. If I'm putting in a spine, the spines that we make now will have what we call wings. And so, for instance, this one that I just covered, my spine wings actually covered my spine and these blank pieces here. So I didn't necessarily need to put another piece of paper on top. You can if you want to, but I don't think that it's necessary. Back in the day, we covered the whole thing with another piece of paper. Some people still do that. I find it now to be too bulky, and what I typically do is make my spine long enough to where I don't, or long enough and wide enough to where I don't need to put an extra paper here. I can just cover it like this. There's my wing for my spine, and then I can just put my pattern paper on top of that, so I have less bulk. But with that, sometimes what happens is what happened here. I put my paper down wrong, and look at this big old wrinkle right here that I cannot get rid of no matter what I do, because I didn't put enough glue there. And so now it just looks puffy, and then there's a wrinkle. So now it just looks bulky and like I did something wrong. So, that's just what you have to consider. If I had the full sheet of paper, it probably still would have did the same thing, to be honest. I just thought about what I did. So it's really user preference at this point. Right now, because you are going to see my spine, I'm going to pick a pattern paper to cover that spine, because I'm doing boxes and not a mini album. Okay, so I'm gonna pick a pattern paper, which I probably should have had this already picked out. I don't even know what paper collection I'm gonna use. Okay, so I'm using Echo Park I Love Winter. Echo Park and Carta Bella are your super thick cardstocks. These are going to be a little bit harder to work with as opposed to like Photoplay, which is a little bit thinner, a little bit easier when you're covering chipboard. Stampin' Up is probably the easiest because it is so super thin, but it's also kind of hard because sometimes you rip it because you manhandle it. But I'm going to use these two from I Love Winter. And now you need to decide if you want your spine coverage to go under or if you want your spine to go over. I want my spine to go under. So my spine's 2 inches. I'm going to cut my paper 2, 2.5, 3.5, 4.5. I'm going to cut my paper 4.5 by 10 7/8. So 4.5 by 10 7/8. Again, it's your preference. Okay. Now, sometimes I have great success with this, and sometimes I have great frustration. I think I like these polka dot, but I'm going to do the polka dots. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is go ahead and tape. Some people do glue with this part. I go back and forth. I really don't have a right or wrong. I've seen people have success with glue and tape, and or tape. I've seen different methods, but this is what I do. Okay. I do it the best I can. I take it easy on myself because in the end, it gets done, right? We're not going to argue. We're not going to be mean to ourselves. Not today. Yes, that's me pep talking myself. Again, if you use your glue stick, it might be a little bit easier. I guess I didn't have to have full, complete coverage, but I did. Okay. So what I'm going to do is just take off one side. Okay. That's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to start. Okay, first of all, let me make sure which one is my cover. I'm going to make the seam the back. That's fine. And I'm just going to try to center this as best as I can. Oh, I had overhang. I don't want to have any tape overhang. Okay. I like 1/8 of an inch border. You can cut your paper however you want. Okay. I am giving this as a gift, so I need to make sure I get this right. I'm overthinking. Okay. Oh my gosh, my stomach is growling. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is go ahead and take the next piece of tape down. And I know this is probably harder on myself, but again, I have to do what is easy for me and what makes sense to me. I'm going to just fold this back so I can tear this off. And the same thing with the top piece. Did I miss some? I did. What is going on with me and this tape backing tonight? We are not friends. Oh my gosh, it's never this hard. Okay, so I'm just gonna The devil is testing me right now, I'll tell you that. Not today, Satan, not today. All right, I'm going to pull my little piece back, and I'm going to go ahead and pull this piece off. This is why you varnish your tape in, which I did a little bit, but not as much as obviously you need to. Okay, so I'm going to lay those parts down. And yes, you can do all of it and pray for the best. But I can't, I'm not right now. All right, so that's down. So here's my spine. I need to make sure that my book can open and close all the way. So I need to make sure that I get this paper in here, and I don't want wrinkles. I don't want bubbles. So I'm going to get up in there. My book can go all the way flat. It can lift up. Flat, lift up. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to go ahead and peel off the rest of this bottom backing. Okay, I'm going to be brave. And I'm going to peel off these next two. When I take this super slow like I'm doing, I'm spending way too much time on this, is when typically I get it right, okay? I don't always get it right. Sometimes I get bubbles up in here. And I don't know what I do different because I am absolutely a creature of habit. Okay, so for this one, no, I have not taken that other side off. I'm just kind of training this to get this in here, to get the paper in that crack. See, I needed to get in there so I can open and close my book. Now, I'm going to slowly do this next part. Okay? I'm going to gently push it down. You see, I did not do it hard. I barely tapped it because I need to make sure that it's in place. See, I can easily lift it up because it started to bubble. And I don't want to bubble. Is it this serious? No. Is anybody going to notice the bubble? Only another crafter, which this is going to. So, all right. Extra step, extra time. My book can open and close. No problems. No bubbles. Now I can varnish tight. All right. Success. For those of you who know me, that took a lot of my patience. I am a lazy crafter and I like quick and easy, and I don't have patience. I'm good at what I do, but I kind of hate what I do. Okay. So we're perfect. My book can open flat. And I put that on crooked. Oh, that's okay. It's okay. That's fine. It's about about 1/16 of an inch crooked, but I'm okay. Because I got this perfect. I'm so proud of myself right now. I just want to watch this for 20 minutes now that I did it perfectly. Alright, so now I'm going to cut my paper to 10 7/8. 10 7/8 by, now my chipboard was 5 3/4, and so I'm going to cut it to 1 3 5 5 5/8. And I'm going to make sure that that is the measurement I want. That is the measurement that I want. Okay. So I'm going to cut this one to 5 5/8 as well. 1 3 5. And that's it. I will glue that down and then I will put my boxes. Now, like I said, if you had if you're doing a mini album, the process is essentially the same. Oh, it's not fitting over here. I probably should have measured because the end of my chipboard on this side, I may not have pulled this tight, and so now it's a little bit off. But that's okay. I'm okay with that. That's fine. It's just showing a little bit more polka dot here than it is on this side, but it's okay. If you were doing a mini album, then your spine piece would have been like this. This would have been your spine for your pages, and then you just would have put these on top and called it done. So, all right, well, that is the tutorial on how to cover your chipboard. Thanks for watching. Bye.